Good morning. Mrs. Stewart asked me to speak with her English classes this week and to present some basic information about copyright rules. Welcome to Copyright 101. What is a copyright and why do you need to know? Well, imagine that you are finishing a report about a book that you just read, and you want to add a picture for a little flair. Most people go online, find a photo or icon that works well, copy it, paste it into their project, and voila, project complete. Perfectly legal, right? Or is it? If the picture that you used was created by someone else, it may or may not be okay for you to use it. If you know the rules, you can make sure that you are not violating copyright law. A copyright can be defined as the legal rights of an original work. It protects the individual who makes something tangible. But what does that mean? The dictionary defines tangible as something you can touch. It may be palpable or able to be perceived with your senses, or material, meaning substantially real. If you make or create something, it is automatically covered under copyright law. You may be familiar with the copyright symbol. We don't get to pick or choose what is copyrighted. Copyrights are overseen through the United States Copyright Office, which is a division of the Library of Congress. Why does it matter? Well, it matters to the original owner. If you did not create an item but want to use it in a presentation, you should always cite where the material came from and give its owner credit. Mrs. Stewart will let you know exactly how she wants you to cite your references in her class. When you create something, you automatically own the rights to it. Which brings us to the legal aspect of copyrights and something called fair use. The law states that you may use small portions of works if they are cited correctly and if you have noted that they are copyrighted. But that all depends on what it is, your purpose for using it, how you use it, and the amount you use. For example, parodies do not violate copyright law. It is legal to take an existing idea or work and create something new using imitation and/or exaggeration. Saturday Night Live skits are parodies and perfectly legal. Memes and mashups fall under this category too. Critiques or commentaries are also permissible. Can't you just contact the owner and ask for permission to use their pictures or songs or videos? You can, and that is ideal, but that process can take a long time. Permission probably won't be granted before your report is due. There are some instances where it is perfectly okay to use someone else's material and not violate copyright law. You can use someone's recipe, wear someone's fashion, and tell jokes that someone else wrote without having to worry about breaking any laws. Just don't pass them off as your own. Today, it is so easy to copy information. We share images with our cell phones or borrow a picture or meme from a social media site. Technology has made it easier to find pictures, videos, or data, but it has also made it easier to violate copyright law. If you use someone's work without permission and it is not covered by fair use, that's called copyright infringement. But who's going to know or care? Well, again, the owner for one. Copyright infringement is illegal. Let's look at an example of how adults have trouble following copyright rules too. Timothy Goodman is an artist who regularly posts his work to Instagram. He discovered that Cosmopolitan magazine used his artwork without getting his permission or giving him credit, and he called them out on it. Here's the online exchange between Mr. Goodman and the magazine. Cosmo claims that they didn't realize that the artwork was copyrighted and offered to give Mr. Goodman credit. Cosmopolitan magazine tried to fix the problem, but that was too little too late for a frustrated Timothy Goodman. He was angry because his work was in effect stolen, and he sees this sort of thing happen a lot. It is always better to err on the side of caution and provide citations. If you violate the rules of fair use, it can cost you anywhere from $750 to $30,000 per infringement. That's just if it was unintentional, like Cosmo said it was. If you break the law knowingly, your fines can be as much as $250,000, and you might spend up to 5 years in prison. Those are some pretty hefty consequences. Charles Caleb Colton stated that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Although this may be true, it can still get us into some legal trouble. Plagiarism is when we imitate or directly copy someone else's work. Remember those fines? We want to do our best to avoid those. Here are some common examples of plagiarism. Sometimes people copy and paste from an original work and pass it off as their own. Others just switch a few words around in the text and call it good. Sorry, that's still plagiarizing someone else's work. At school, there are consequences for plagiarizing. You won't get fined, but you may receive a failing grade, or you could get suspended or even expelled. Here's another real-world example. Jason Blair was a journalist for the New York Times in the early 2000s. I say was because he lost his job due to plagiarism. For years, he not only stole other people's works, but he totally made up stories too. When the Times discovered his deception, they fired him. This scandal lost him his job, and it made the New York Times lose credibility as a quality newspaper. The executive editor and managing editor also lost their jobs in the fallout. Plagiarism is serious. It's both an academic and ethical problem, which is why we want you to know the rules so you can respect them as a student and a person. Some works are what we call in the public domain. You can think of this as the opposite of works that are copyrighted. This means that they may be used without obtaining permission from the owner. Officially, the definition is creative works that are not protected by copyright, trademark, or patent laws. So, if everything created is owned by its creator, how do items become part of the public domain? Well, most copyrights have a time limit. If the copyright expired or the copyright holder did not file for an extension correctly, the work enters the public domain. Anyone can use works in the public domain and no one owns them, but you still need to be careful. Clip art is a good example. Even though it is presented as copyright-free, it is still wise to provide citations stating that it is a public domain item just to be sure. If you change the clip art from its original form, that can also be copyright violation. We've gone over a lot of information today. Let's review the main points. A copyright refers to the legal rights of an original work and is protected by law. Fair use gives us guidelines to follow so we don't violate copyright law. Plagiarism occurs when we directly copy or imitate someone else's work and pass it off as our own. Items in the public domain are no longer owned by anyone and can be used without permission. Copyright rules can be tricky and hard to remember. When in doubt, it is always wise to give citations when using someone else's material. Quantity matters. The less you use, the more likely it is that you are adhering to the law. I have a handout that reviews the information that was shared with you today. You'll want to refer to it as you work on the upcoming group projects. Please do not hesitate to ask questions or seek clarification. Mrs. Stewart and I are here to help you. Thank you for your attention, and I'll leave you with one final slide showing my citations for this presentation. Naturally, I want to be a good example.